our another beautiful live stream about coding. All right, I'm Jason with Devsults.com. Welcome everybody. Let's see some love comments in the chats. Who's coding out there? Let's see who we got here. What's going on, everybody? Welcome, welcome. Just gonna let some people pile in here. What's up, Issa Wall, D Bigetal IR, Nepal 7154. What's going on? Jason with Devslopes.com, full stack developer here at Devslopes and instructor, mentor, and coach for the Web Academy. So I work with students all day long, helping them learn how to code, to get jobs, to get paid, because that's what it's all about. We learn how to code, we got to get paid, right? What's going on? What's going on, Andre? Shervin famous. Sounds like should have been famous. What's going on, YouTube? What's going on, Lipsick? Welcome, everybody. Awesome. Rise Shah, just starting to program. That's great. What stack are you learning? What programming language are you learning right now? What's going on, Miss Poet? Yes, we've got a lot of people joining here. So if you have coding questions, feel free to drop those in the chat. And if you're new to programming, ask some questions, because I'm a self-taught developer myself. So I know the struggle and, kind of the rabbit holes that I went down when I was learning how to code. So yeah, good stuff. Raj from India, it's 2 a.m. Man, I appreciate it. You're staying up late. Hopefully you can sleep in a little bit. JavaScript and Python. That's awesome. Good on you. How long, Raisha, have you been doing this programming journey so far? Let me know. For us, what's the topic today? So we're just going to be, keeping it casual. We're just going to be talking about coding, tech, freelance jobs, anything like that. There's a lot of repetitive questions that usually come up about, what programming language we should start with, or do you need a computer science degree to get a job? So it's really like, I'm just here to help you. All right. Let's see. Allah44 wants to be in the live video. I don't know how to do that. What's going on, everybody? So how many of you are learning to code right now? How many people are brand new to programming, just starting out this journey? All right, so I've got two questions here. I'm going to be looking both ways. So we're going to start here in YouTube. Let's see. Raisha says, looking at it for 6 months, but computer troubles keep stopping me. So buying an Apple. You know what? I use Apple to program with too. I've got a MacBook Pro, and they just work out of the box. There's nothing against Windows. I know a lot of people that use Windows. I used Windows when I was a full stack engineer at Dell. It's great, but MacBooks just kind of work out of the box. they work as expected. I've always had little to no issues with MacBooks. So Miss Poet asks, which language should a new person start to learn? That's a fantastic question, and I get that one a lot. So if you're new to programming, first, you really have to decide what it is you want to do with programming, and that's really going to decide the learning path of what programming languages you're going to be learning. All right. So if you want to do web development, all right, build websites or web apps, you're going to be starting with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and then you'll most likely move into another like framework or library. I always recommend React, because a lot of the syntax with React is very familiar with JavaScript. Angular's fine, but there is a steep learning curve because you've already just learned JavaScript. And then all of a sudden now you have to switch over to TypeScript, which is a superset of JavaScript. And then Angular just has, very Angular specific syntax. So way more Googling. React is a little bit easier to pick up. So again, web development, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, I'd recommend moving into React after that. If you're looking to do iOS development, you're going to need a Mac, and you're going to want to use learn Swift. All right. And then if you're wanting to dive into Android development, then do Kotlin. All right. That's what I would do. And then obviously there's a slew of other programming languages, but if you're getting started in web, iOS, or Android, those are the 3 stacks that I would get started with. All right. Kind of a long answer there. I hope that was helpful, Miss Poet. Let's see. What else do we have here? Mehdi, hey man, big fan of you and Mark. Tell me, do you think a junior developer can get work at Visa and work abroad, or do you need to be at least mid-level to do so? So it really depends. One of the things that I ran into an issue with, or so since I'm a self-taught developer, I was out trying to get jobs and everything. One of the problems that I was making is I was only looking for junior positions. When I was on Indeed or LinkedIn, I was looking for junior web developer. And that's not what you need to be doing. You need to just be looking for web development jobs. Go through the interview and let them decide whether you're junior or mid-level status. All right. So for an example, when I was interviewing for Dell, I was a full stack engineer at Dell for a couple of years. The interview, the requirements on the job listing was 5 years JavaScript, 3 years in React, and a computer science degree. That's what the requirement said. I do not have a computer science degree. I had 3 years in 3 years in JavaScript and 1 year in React. Okay, I didn't tell them this. I just applied. And then I went through all the tech interviews, the phone, the in-person, the coding challenges, all that. And they liked me. They're like, yeah, this guy has what it takes to get the job done. And so they hired me, even though they were looking for a much more seasoned developer. You know what? The shoe fit, so I wore it. So don't worry about junior stuff. I would say yes, a junior developer could go, work visa or abroad, but let the company decide. Okay, let the company decide. All right, we're gonna do a few more YouTube questions. Instagram. I'll hop over here in a minute, give you some love. Hopefully my internet connection is good. I keep getting a message saying it sucks. All right, where are we at? Prajwal. I'm familiar with backend, but don't have any experience. Do you recommend me shifting my focus to front end to the entry-level jobs, or do you reckon there are plenty of entry-level back-end jobs? I would definitely switch over to front end. It is way easier to get an entry-level front-end developer job, because if you think about the reality of this, a junior backend position, if you're working the backend, a lot of time you're dealing with user accounts, security, things like that, and they don't want some junior developer, just kind of fumbling around in the database and potentially, crashing everything. So do front end and then, move into the back end. And that's exactly what I did when I was working at Dell. I was hired as a front end engineer, but then they needed some of the back end work done, needed some help. They knew that I was super hungry to learn new technologies. And so I mentored with one of the senior back end developers and started doing full stack. All right, much easier transition. All right, Sadna, let's see. I started weeks ago learning web development with Devsults full stack course. Oh, that's awesome. That's exciting. Very cool. Raisha, looking to get into blockchain. That's awesome. Don't try to learn too many programming languages at once. Okay, choose a learning path. I would stick with that for a year before you start diving into like blockchain or other things. You're just going to confuse yourself. All right. Pick a technology stack. All right. Get proficient in it. And it's going to be so much easier to learn these other frameworks and libraries. Okay. Because it's really just a different syntax is all that you're picking up. All the concepts are the same. All right. All right, YouTube, I'm going to give you a break here. Let me jump over here to Instagram. Let's see what we have going on. Ghack asks, how can I learn CSS faster while I hate design? Don't worry about CSS. Just Google whatever it is that you need to do. I've been coding for 6 years or something, and CSS is just a pain in the butt. It always will be. It's like, I put CSS in the paranormal category because it always has unexpected and weird behavior. All right. So CSS, just Google whatever it is that you need to do and do it with your design. Let's see, how to remote a fresher job. I'm not sure I understand that. Let's see, what about AI? Which language is requested? So usually with AI, it's Python. A lot of people are recommending, or Python's usually the go-to language for AI. And I'm sure there's other ones. I just don't know off the top of my head. How old were you when you first learned programming language? Let's just put it this way. I was in a career in regional sales management for 9 years. All right. And then I made a complete career change. And so I did this at, let's see, what age did I do this at? Was it 27? I think I was 27. Just turned 34. But yeah, so I was like 27, 28 when I first got into coding. So yeah, I had 9 years experience in a different field, did a 180 turn. It was hard, self-taught. I did it on my own. It sucked not to have a support system, but I did it. And it's never too you're never too young or too old to get into programming. We've got students in our Devsults Academies. I think the oldest student is 55 or 56, and then I think the youngest is probably around 15. Let's see. What else do we have here? What stack would you recommend for a workflow and approval application? So I'm not sure I quite understand the question here, but the stack that I would choose is whatever you're interested in coding, whether it's web apps, iOS, or Android. That's going to be the stack that you're going to be learning. And there are plenty of jobs and freelance work for every single category of those three stacks there. And so there's plenty of jobs for it. I mean, depending on the state, country you live in, there might be some variance in that, but yeah. All right. What do we have? Doart Till. I want to make the jump from being a CPA to being a developer, but how can I learn part-time from home? So that's a fantastic question. So I'm going to give you personal experience here because I did this taught, I had a family. I was doing regional sales, and then I was trying to learn to code on the side, and it was very frustrating and everything. I did it on my own, and I did it I wasted probably 4 months of time because I just kept going down rabbit holes. All right. So you can go free. You can do the YouTube and stuff like that. The problem is there is not a clear guided learning path. If you are looking to make the jump from CPA to developer, you have got to have a very clear, learning path of exactly what you're going to do. All right. YouTube videos aren't going to give you that. They're not giving you a learning path. If you want a learning path, and if you want to work with a coach and a mentor like myself, all right, go to devsults.com/apply. All right. And we've got the Devsults Academy for iOS, Android, and web development. All right. And I will work with you personally. I will be reviewing all your assignments. I'll be reviewing your code and giving you feedback. And you'll have someone you can just go to and ask questions. And not only that, but I will help you strategize your resume, your LinkedIn profile, teach you how to work with recruiters, negotiate salaries, to do freelance work, and I will make sure that you get paid. All right. Like that's the goal, is to get paid, not just learn something, but to get paid for doing it. All right. So devsults.com/apply. Go check it out. And let me just wrap up with one thing. The Devsults Academy, it's an online boot camp. It's, do it around your lifestyle. All right. So if you need to do it part-time, that's what most of our students are doing. All right. Let's see what we got here. Wandy. Hey, bro. Why you got to smile like this? I don't know. I'm happy. I don't even know what that means. Learning dude, which lang should to prefer Java or Python for a career? There's a career in both. All right. So with Java, you'll find more enterprise, programming jobs for that are doing Java, like enterprise stuff. You can also build Android apps with Java, and there's a slew of other things. All right, but mostly you're going to be finding enterprise corporations that are doing it. With Python, Python's good, but again, it has its own set of stuff to do. Web development, there's not a ton of Python being used in web. I mean, it depends. Like the backend that you're using, it's a scripting language. You can use it for AI, machine learning, things like that. So it really depends on what you want to do. Depends on what you want to do. Let's see, what else do we have? YouTube, I'll get to you here in a second. All right. Let's see, we've got Sparrow Adnan. God, I can't read some of these usernames. I'm just going to call you Sparrow. Hey, Jason, which lang should I master to make a web store like Nike or something similar? I don't know if it was you, but somebody yesterday asked the same exact question. All right, what you should master to build, a web store like Nike. So, what I would do if you want to do something as extreme and pristine as Nike, um, maybe choose Angular. All right, and the reason why I say use an Angular like Mongo Express, Angular, and Node, which is the mean stack, the reason why I recommend that, you can do it in so many other technologies. Okay, there's so many you can choose from, but the thing that I like about Angular is it's very, very strict, and you'll see a lot of these larger companies using Angular as part of the stack because it's got stricter rules. It's a very, very organized framework. It's got a lot of rules that are just clear as day. Like, this is the way that we do it. So it's got a lot of rules and patterns that you follow. And it uses TypeScript, which is a lot safer than regular vanilla JavaScript because you can type check all your variables and stuff like that. So I would do Angular, okay, the mean stack, Mongo Express, Angular, and Node, but there's other programming languages you can use. Man, YouTube, I apologize if I'm lagging. I just keep seeing these notifications that say I've got an unstable connection here. All right, we're going to do a few more questions from Instagram. I'm going to hop over here to YouTube in a sec. All right, HS Hurley 96. What is the safest path to take if someone starting out? Job security, job opportunities, well-paying, and a good work-life balance, not looking to be rich, just comfortable living. So, okay, so here's the reality. Web development, you'll find, and this is US based, okay? I'm not sure where you are, okay? US based, and this is going to vary a little bit depending on what, city state that you're living in, all right? US based jobs, there are more web development positions in general, okay? And then iOS and Android are going to be a little bit more of a niche market, all right? But there's still jobs out there for it. Now, of the three, iOS, Android, and web developers make the least, all right, in general, starting out. All right, iOS developers and Android developers tend to make more, and their salaries tend to, top out a little bit more. So, perfect example, like when I first learned to code, my very, very, very first job coding, I think it paid, it was either 72 or 78,000 a year. All right, my very first job ever as a web developer. My brother did iOS development. Okay. And his very, very first job, he's self-taught just like me. His very first job, I think he started at just over 80,000. All right. He's been coding for, I think, 4 years or something. And I'm pretty sure he's doing around 120,000 a year. All right. I'll tell you, I'm not doing 120, but that's just the nature of doing web development. And I like web development more than iOS. So I'm happy doing what I'm doing. I make good money and I can live very comfortably. And most people who are developers can. So it's definitely a hot industry to get into. And it's great. All right. I'm going to switch over here to YouTube for a little bit. All right, Lipstick, do you recommend some certification courses for a beginner? You can. You can. There is also a different level of validity depending on where you get your certificate from. All right, Udemy certification, it probably means nothing. You can literally go through a Udemy course, click through all the videos, never learn a dang thing. Weasel your way through some of the quizzes and exercises, and boom, certificate. It doesn't mean you know anything. Udacity, they have some of these paid program things that you can take. Udacity is more credible. All right. And so that's a good place to get a certification. I would say that holds some validity. Devslopes, we've got the iOS, Android, and web academies. We do certificates. Okay. We've taught over 350,000 students how to code. All right. So Devslopes has some validity under that as well. But at the end of the day, maybe a certification can get you recognized to an employer. But at the end of the day, all an employer wants is somebody who can code. Let me restate this, okay? Instagram froze for a second. All an employer wants at the end of the day is somebody who can code. You can either code or you can't. All right? They don't really care about a certificate. They just need someone to get the job done. All right, Anu, hey, can you tell a key difference between software developer and web developer? Is software developer harder? Well, it really depends. So, I mean, so if you're thinking about web development as far as a simple website, maybe some functionality, yeah, that could be a simpler project. Software projects like what I worked on at Dell, we were building a sales tool, and this was a web app. It was a piece of software, and it was very, very complex stuff. Like it had some crazy things going on under the hood. And so, yes, I would say if you're talking about website development and software development, because you can build software with web technologies, but when we say software, yes, it means that there's probably a little bit more involved, user interactions, databases, API calls, things like that. Let's see. Khaled, I'm also trying to apply for internships, but they ask for 3 years experience. That's weird. That is weird. It's an internship. I remember like probably 14 weeks after learning to code, I got an internship, and they weren't requiring me to have 3 years of anything. I mean, they kind of wanted to see my level of understanding of code. Says, yeah, this guy, he knows some stuff. He can get his way around, and I think we can, work with him here and teach him some things. Let's see. Is Mimo a good app to learn coding? I have no idea. I've never heard of it. Never looked into it. And then we says, don't buy any course. It just, so when you're spending money on something, like make sure that it's giving you the tools and everything you need to be successful. Like I know a lot of people purchase Udemy courses, but just, ask yourselves realistically, are your Udemy courses like 1% finished? Or have you not even started them at all? So there is a lot of learning that you can do for free. All right. But there is also an advantage if you can find the right system or the right program to become a part of, like the Devsults Academy, where you can get a very clear guided learning path, where you can personally work with a mentor and a coach, have somebody review your code, give you feedback. All right. And then work with you until you get paid. All right. It's not just about learning to code, because learning to code and having a skill is very different from applying it in the real world and having somebody pay you for your skills. All right. There's two ends of the spectrum, and Devslopes fulfills both. All right. I have so many students in my web academy right now that they're not even finished. They're about a third of the way through, and they're already doing freelance work and already getting paid, making, $1,000 plus. All right. Already making money. All right. We've got about 6 minutes here. Let's take some questions from Instagram. Nurik asks, can you help me with web dev? I'm a beginner. Absolutely. Go to devslopes.com/apply. I'm the coach and mentor for our web academy. I would love to work with you and help you learn how to code and get paid for it. Not Waj. What is the path to learn JavaScript after learning basics? How to develop in that area? So you've got to start building real world projects, right? Because when you learn the basics, you're basically doing JavaScript in the terminal, or you're doing it in the browser, like in the console or something, right? And you're just running basic things. But the reality is you've got to be able to build something meaningful with JavaScript to be able to take that to the next level. All right. So find a project or have an idea of some, JavaScript project to build as a beginner, and do that. You know what? Also to follow up with that, DevSlopes does have these 30-day coding challenges. All right. So if you go to 30daycodingchallenge.com, we've got coding challenges for JavaScript and for iOS, for Swift. All right. So if you want to push your JavaScript skills, a lot of people are doing our 30-day code challenge because you get 30 days of challenges. You'll have a mentor and a coach to work with to ask questions, along with all the other people that are doing that 30-day code challenge. And it's gonna push your brain to think in brand new ways that it has never ever had to think about before. All right. And I know because I had to come up with the solutions for all of the 30 challenges. All right. Even after coding for like 6 years, I got through some of these challenges and was like, dang, like this is intense. So do that. Do that. All right. Code with Luis, or yeah. Hey man, love this Instagram account. Appreciate how much you contribute to coding community. Keep it up. Yes, let's go. Appreciate it. I want to change my career path as a backend developer, but I don't know which one to take, front end or DevOps. The easiest to get into, Alejandro, is going to be front end. All right. I mean, DevOps is definitely an opportunity. Where I am in the US, I do overall see less demand for DevOps. I'm not saying there isn't, there is. All right. But the other thing about DevOps is there's a lot of automated systems that are coming into place and being able to handle or do a lot of the work that maybe a DevOps does. And it also depends on the size of the company, right? So there are positions for DevOps, but if you want to really uh, change your career path, get into front end. All right, what else do we have? All right, what time is it? We've got 2 more minutes. All right, so HS Hurley 96. So with what you said, it sounds like web development is a safe bet. I'm in Chattanooga, in Tennessee, by the way. So what would be the most valuable language to learn for web development? So what I would do is I would do a search on Indeed, or do one on LinkedIn, all right, for web development positions. See what is exactly available in your area, all right? And that's if, you plan on going into an office and coding like that. Look up web development, iOS, and Android, all right? Look at those three technologies. Now, the other cool thing, since it's not cool that a pandemic hit us, but what is cool is working remotely, being able to work from home. So there's so many companies that are doing remote work that it doesn't really matter where you live. And I promise you this: if you learn to code, if you will learn to code, it is probably one of the safest things that you can do as far as job security, because of two things. We are in a technology stage. All right. Everything we're doing is within this online presence. All right. And to have this online presence, you need people who can code, to write programs. Okay. So learning this technology in this technology age gives you unbelievable job security. The other cool thing is, if you are fired for whatever reason or lose your job, you can always freelance and get paid. All right. And I did that. I was with a company, and the company was downsizing and everything. They let everybody go. And I had lost my income. I've got a family of 6 to provide for. I'm the only one that works. And so, but I wasn't super stressed out. Yeah, it sucked. I was unemployed for 3 months, but I freelanced the entire time that I was out of work. and I provided for my family. So even losing my job because software is in such high demand, I found work with no problem. All right. So I will get off my soapbox about that. I'm very passionate about coding. Like, if you learn to code, like, I recommend it to everybody. All right, Amir, how to increase skills as front end like CSS? I would not worry about mastering CSS. It is good to know good practices and the fundamentals and have an understanding how it works. Okay, but just Google whatever you need. CSS is just a huge topic. So, for an example, the Devsults academies, they're 16-week or 16 module online boot camp. If it were up to me, or if somebody asked me to, I could do 16 weeks on CSS alone. That's how huge CSS is. There's just so much to it, and you don't need to master everything about it. So Google, Google, Google. All right, we're out of time. I'll take one more question. From here, Sparrow says, I agree. And even the guys were helpful. Shout out to Brandon. Yes, Brandon is awesome. He's part of our web academy. And dude, Brandon has already been doing freelance work, has made money, and he hasn't even finished the academy. All right. He's already freelancing work. Brandon's a stud. He's awesome. All right. I'm going to answer one more from Instagram, one more from YouTube. So Jermujinga asks, how much time do you have to learn programming? So here's the reality. You're learning to program, right? You're learning a new language, right? That's the reality of what you're doing. And that requires almost everyday work. So the most important thing that you can do is try to get at least 2 hours a day, hands on a keyboard, slamming out code for at least 5 days a week. All right. If you code for a week and take a week off, like, you're doing yourself, like, you're not benefiting yourself. Okay. Like, if you're going to do programming, you're going to learn how to code, you've got to commit and you got to follow through with it. All right. And you'll hit roadblocks. Okay. You're going to get frustrated. You're going to want to break your keyboard in half and quit. But I promise you, there is a light at the end of that tunnel, and the payoff is worth it. All right. So when I was first learning to code, it sucked. Like, it was super hard. I didn't have something like Devsults at the time. I didn't have a coach or a mentor. I went down rabbit holes. I got frustrated. I wanted to quit. I went broke. I lost my job. Okay. I lost everything. I rebuilt it back. All right. It was very temporary struggle to make a complete career change from sales into coding. All right. But it's worth it. I work remotely. I don't live paycheck to paycheck. I live very comfortably. So put in the time, because your payout, it's just going to be, it's worth every hour you put in. All right. So there's Instagram. One more from YouTube. Then we're wrapping this up. All right, that question is in a different language. I can't read it. Neither can I read that. Let's see. You know what? There's no more questions from YouTube, just a bunch of comments in another language. I wish I could read it. I apologize. All right. So anyways, if you are learning to code, you want to work with a coach and a mentor, and you really are serious about making, a career change, or whatever your goal is, if you just want to work from home, do a career change, or you're starting a business, whatever. If you want some structured, guided learning path and to work with me or any of our other instructors, go to devslopes.com/apply. Okay, set up a career coaching call with one of our coaches and see if Devslopes is even for you. If you want to push JavaScript or Swift programming skills to another level, check out the 30-day code challenge. That's 30daycodechallenge.com. All right, and until next time, stay safe, stay positive, and keep coding. All right, I'm out.